What is the worst thing that is legal? I'm just gonna have to say little girls' beauty pageants. It just doesn't sit right with me. And not only because of the fact it's creepy, but I feel like it's stressful on the kid and on their body image. College book prices and practices. Change a few words in a math book. That'll be another $100 please. Oh, you realize that you can use the book from 10 years ago and succeed? Actually, we require you get the new book. Oh, you realized you can get the book cheaper from a friend? Actually, we're doing online books now and you need the personalized code. We change it every year even though there have been no breakthroughs in this subject. Knowing the college struggle, I have no f***ing clue how this is allowed to exist. It should literally be illegal. The fact car radio commercials are allowed to have police sirens or car crashes in them as a way to get your attention. You can look up where anyone lives because it's public record. But can we please not have entire websites with databases full of every person in the country? I mean, think about people who get denied restraining orders and try to move away from their abuser. 6 months later and their abuser can just look up their name and find them all over again. This could be detrimental for spouse abuse victims, stalking victims, etc. Something should be done about them. The size of the X button on pop-up ads. Robocalls. Caller ID spoofing. Data caps on home internet. Selling textbooks at ridiculous prices. Spice K2/synthetic weed. This may have changed in the last few years, but I found it embarrassing that our country locks up thousands for actual marijuana but allowed that shit to be sold at every gas station and liquor store, knowing damn good and well that it was hurting and killing people. Socks. Fit size 6-12. Bullshit. Hearing a honking sound in a radio commercial. Impossibly hard to cancel subscriptions. Putting unrelated crap into bills to sneak it into law. I know they're supposed to follow some kind rules related to germaneness, but they clearly don't. And clearly need actual laws with actual punishments for pulling this crap. Payday loan practices. Technically not illegal, but hella predatory. Passing a shitload of bills wrapped up in one. Civil asset seizure by police, no crimes needed. Marital pay and honor killings in countries like the one I live in, generally the Middle East. Multi-level marketing. Sweatshop labor outsourced by tech and Fortune 500 companies. It's essentially contemporary slavery we collectively allow. A parent keeping their kid from the other parent when there's no good reason to, and leveraging the courts to do it. Scam calls and solicitation calls. I swear they used to be illegal at one point. Not the worst thing, but it used to be illegal for commercials on TV to be louder than the actual show, but not any longer suddenly. The troubled teen industry. Parents pay a company to kidnap kids while they're sleeping and send them off to therapeutic boarding schools where they are abused in every conceivable way. It's F-kid. Being penalized for calling out sick from work. Edit. Even while the whole world is trying to survive this pandemic, we're still dealing with this major issue by employers. I work in healthcare, and I feel like I get shamed by my managers and co-workers when you call out. Especially when you work night shift. The trade blockade over Naboo. Old legally blind folks driving cars. Child marriage. Congress members being able to trade stocks at the same time they are receiving intelligence and passing laws that could affect the performance of said stocks. Child beauty pageants. Being forced to fork up your personal data and access to everything in your phone to use a stupid app that makes a picture of your dog sing. It should not be allowed at all. Edit. This applies to many apps. Civil asset forfeiture. It is un-American. Legalized theft. Political action committees. For-profit prisons. We've investigated ourselves and decided we didn't do anything wrong. Advertisements for prescription medicine help patients lie to their doctors. Lying through your teeth on news shows because you claim you're actually entertainment, even while it has news in the title of the station. Being able to lie through your teeth on an opinion show, just BC, it's an opinion show. Opinions should be opinions about facts. Opinion should not be an excuse for slander or making knowingly false statements in the media. Groom your stepdaughter for over a decade. Then when she's 18, divorce her mom and hook up with your stepdaughter. Puppy mills. Yes. Some states they're still legal. And where they're illegal, irresponsible backyard breeders are legal. You know how when you commit a crime and get caught, you get charged in the country where you committed the crime. So if you murder someone, you'll get charged in said country. Then there are the international waters. Every ship above 100 GT have to be registered. And if it's registered, the laws of the country where it's registered apply to the ship. But if you had a smaller boat, no laws apply. But if you killed someone on said ship, you'd be charged in the country where the person is a citizen. But there are ways someone can lose their citizenship in certain countries. And thereby, if I kill a citizenless person on a boat under 100 GT in international waters, even if there was evidence, no one can bring me to court. Thereby, taking notes intensifies. Misleading potential employees in interviewing process. Co-workers that don't shower. Permanently destroying huge areas of natural land. Nearby from where I live, there's a development corporation in my hometown that has bought up virtually all of the remaining woods, meadows and wetlands in the area, paved them, and built retail spaces that go vacant just a few months later. Businesses aren't even moving into these places, but the group just keeps spreading out and developing. It seems like every month, I drive past another leveled tract of land. Frankly, it's terrible. Unskippable double ads. Marriage. Specifically a 14-YO getting married to a 40-YO with the parents constant. Our media driving a wedge between the populace to fuel division in order to satisfy ratings. Purely for the purpose of entertainment and profit. Not facts. Here in Canada, female genital mutilation is common in the Somali community. The police and the government are very aware of it, but because it's cultural, no one wants to stop it. It is still legal in Canada. Tax loopholes. Alcohol. We tried that in the US and had to pass another constitutional amendment to override it. Drugs of any variety shouldn't be criminalized because they create black markets that encourage violence. And they punish addicts who should be treated for their medical condition. Conversion camps in some countries. Rape offenders being able to have custody over a kid. Circumcision on babies. Civil forfeiture, wherein law enforcement can take your property because they think maybe it was or will be used in a crime and you have to prove it wasn't. Smoking in a car with infants. Being rude to someone who is just trying to do their job. Pornography. Unpopular opinion. I know. Paying for anything that we'd literally die without. War. Lobbying. Country music. Smoking. Child marriage. No knock warrants. We've seen time and time again where law enforcement has the wrong address and some innocent person ends up dead because of a logistical mistake. Monopolies. Mother effing phone calls from telemarketers and salesmen. I get they are just trying to do a living. But if I block your phone once. Cyberbullying in childhood. Bullies not mature enough to understand the consequences. Baby boys are allowed to get circumcised. Routine infant circumcision. Edit. I do not think it should be illegal, as some would seek out illegal circumcision. Though I do feel it's unnecessary in most situations. I had a physician assistant argue with me that it lowers the chances of getting penile cancer by 1%. The chances of getting penile cancer are so rare in the United States. And it's caused by HPV, which you can now get vaccinated for. When I have my first child, if it happens to be a boy, we won't be circumcising. I can't wait until this Kellogg era bullshit ends. A president with mental issues. A president being able to pardon his friends and cronies. Infant circumcision. You all are complaining about phone calls and loud TV. They slice little kids' genitals before they can provide consent. It hurts. It changes their brains forever due to increased cortisol. Negatively affects their SOL experience in adulthood. Results in a few deaths per year in the US alone. Hell. They've made it illegal to dock puppies' tails. But let's keep slicing up little boys' penises or. To top it off, I may be downvoted and banned just for mentioning this. Edit. At this time, there are 22 comments sticky above mine with fewer upvotes. And my upvotes just started to plummet. Great work, mods. Pardoning a man who killed multiple children and posed for photos with one of their corpses. One of them was a 17-year-old ISIS militant who was in custody and sedated, and the other case was shooting a little girl and an old man. But the witness didn't actually see him pull the trigger. He just heard Gallagher claim to make the shot as far as I've read. The accuser was only convicted of posing with the body of the 17-year-old captive he allegedly stabbed and whose breathing tube he plugged. Edited for more completeness so as not to sound like I'm sensationalizing. Maybe not the worst thing, but companies having carte blanche free rein to buy back their own stocks en masse has been f***ing our economy since the Reagan era. Stock buybacks are a way for companies to easily manipulate the value of their public shares, irrespective of the profit the company's actually producing. When a company has an excellent year in profits, rarely does that money go to increased headcount or employee raises bonuses. Most often it goes to stock buybacks. Because it's such a shameless method to artificially manipulate stock values. It used to be damn near illegal. And you dared to do it, the SEC would swiftly be up your ass and sniffing around for malfeasance. But thanks to Reagan era deregulation, companies can do it pretty much with impunity and zero oversight. Artificially inflating the market, accelerating the boom-bust cycle, and f***ing their employees. It's a toxic practice and it's a huge factor in the growing economic inequality we see today. Tabloid journalism. Exploitation of nature. To the level that hurts everyone. Banks charging fees for literally everything. Withdrawal. Text notices and small but frequent amounts I don't even know what were for. And also scamming people with interest rates. Loans. Taking their houses, etc. As I sit here smoking cigarettes, FCK cigarettes, and FCK big tobacco. Factory farming. Women can't hit men but men can't even in self-defense. Little legal loopholes lawyers can use in courts. And paid internships. Especially after graduating from college. They need money, not experience. Gerrymandering. Companies like Ticketmaster and StubHub. Ticket scalping in general. Kicks in the balls. There. I hate copyright. Yes. They should get like 30-40 years before it enters the public domain. The treatment of animals in factory farming is beyond horrifying. It's hell on earth. The animals we eat live in squalor and die in agonized terror. www.watchdominion.com really opened my eyes to the torture we subject animals to. Ticket resale sites. They buy all the tickets using bots, then they can just resell them for more money. Isn't that legalized scalping? I'm not sure it's the worst thing, but I cannot believe that it's legal to film a person against their consent and then put them on a public forum like YouTube. I just think it's weird that against someone's consent their face and what might be a very personal or embarrassing moment could be shared with potentially billions of people. Even children get subjected to this. Paying child support for a child that was conceived during an affair and isn't yours. Having a man forced to support a child that is not biological his. Really disappointed that declawing cats is one of the top comments. But I have to scroll all the way to bottom to find mention of the billions of cows, pigs, chickens etc. that are abused, kept in tiny cages, forcibly impregnated, and slaughtered every year for no good reason. And not only is it legal, but it's heavily subsidized in a lot of countries. Prosecutors withholding evidence that can exonerate the accused so they can win a conviction. The animal agriculture, animal abuse. Politicians being allowed to trade financial securities. Circumcision on either gender. In certain states police can have sex with you while you're in custody. Conversion therapy. Hey. Let's make children hate themselves so much that they'll either lie about who they are for the smallest crumbs of validation or just commit suicide. Either way, that's one less gay to worry about. Now excuse me as I go throw up. Dog ear cropping and cat declawing edit. I'm in the USA and a registered veterinary nurse. Exploiting and murdering animals. Pigs, cows, chickens etc. Hoas. My girlfriend stopped by my house to pick me up to go somewhere and the starter in her Jeep died. She had to leave her Jeep on the curb outside my house. The hoa says you can't park cars in the street like that, which is fine. I took her home and came back and replaced the starter on it. Some FCK stick drove up and waited for me to walk away to take a picture and report me to the hoa for parking on the street. In the picture you can see the tools laying under the car. It was parked there for all of 15 hours. They fined me for parking my motorcycle on the curb. They've sent us a warning that we aren't allowed to change our car's oil in our driveway because it leaves oil spots. But there's a house up the road that has a bunch of junkers that straight up leak oil, and that's fine though. The US federal government's ability to waste taxpayer dollars. Terrible people having children. I already know I will get downvoted, but FCK it. Political donations. Unlimited political donations. Tobacco. Male genital mutilation. Mentally torturing someone to the point where they think suicide is the only option. Then telling them that just talking with someone will help, when all it does is make them feel worse. Picketing at funerals and abortion clinics. Convincing a large percent of the population that trickle-down economics is real, while also letting people rot in for-profit prisons and enforcing slave labor. The rich get richer, and the historically compromised penal system only encourages divides in population hierarchy. It's an epic issue. John Doe doesn't need to spend life in prison for having a drug problem, while rich white men have stocks in pharmaceutical companies that create drugs that people get addicted to. Posting the same questions on our Ask Reddit over and over. Civil forfeiture is, in my opinion, the most stupid f-king thing I've ever seen in my life. The fact that most of us know that police are corrupt pieces of shit, and still give them the ability to seize our property for no real reason, with no real recourse, is beyond me. This country is f-ked. Alcohol for sure. Well, when you ban that it goes very badly. Sending letters to homeowners labeled important mortgage financial info or last warning notice and having the inside look exactly like a bill. Letterhead and little box in the corner with figures inside. All to then say refinance with us or don't miss this opportunity for etc. Makes me heart skip every time thinking I've forgotten some critical bill until I open it. No term limits for certain politicians. Lawsuits over every little thing. Giving clueless high school kids with no substantial financial knowledge backgrounds hundreds of thousands of dollars, effectively ruining years or even decades of their lives. The rich getting away with not paying their fair share in taxes. Property taxes. You never really own anything. For-profit F-king prisons. Lol, what? Wages for full-time jobs that don't even cover basic living costs. No, not warrants. We've seen time and time again where law enforcement has the wrong address and some innocent person ends up dead because of a logistical mistake. In the US, people going bankrupt and losing their homes over medical bills. Pretty much anything the Chinese government does to re-educate their people. Instagram promoting child pornography on their platform. Effectively creating a safe space for sick people. Edit. Same for TikTok. I have tried to convince people not to use this app for this reason and no one takes it seriously. Payday loans. Alimony. Oh man, I had a whole reply typed out. Accidentally closed the tab and had to find your comment again. Anyway. Lol. Plenty of women pay alimony. I would highly suggest doing a prenuptial agreement before getting married and even before becoming common law, moving in with a romantic partner. It doesn't have to all be about money but also possessions and debt. If one party has a significant amount of debt, in a prenup it can be agreed that if a separation were to take place they take the entirety of their debt with them. My parents didn't have a prenup and my dad got way into cocaine. When they divorced he had tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt that was split in half. He also maxed out a shitload of credit cards, some under my mom's name and some under both their names. 22 years later and my mom still isn't allowed a credit card. Unregulated corporate lobbying. Raisins in baked goods. Not giving your employees emergency sick leave, PTO, etc. Because you have less than 15 employees, so by law you don't have to. As an employee you also can't pursue legal action through the Disability Act, Coronavirus Relief Acts, or employment law. Because the employer has less than 15 employees. My advice? Don't move to Florida. Ear piercing for children. The cost of healthcare in the US. My mom had a large grapefruit-sized bowel obstruction a few years ago and had to have emergency surgery to save her life. She followed that surgery with a 1-week stay in ICU and another 2 weeks in a regular room because the damage was so bad that they had to remove a lot of her colon intestines and place a colostomy bag. Her bill was almost $1 mil when all was said and done. And she didn't have insurance at the time. So that entire burden was on her and my dad. Our healthcare system is effing atrocious. And frankly, embarrassing. Child genital mutilation. Tax exempt mega churches. Cops are allowed to lie in interrogations. Lots of false confessions made by people that are told their DNA is all over the crime scene, etc. Underage marriage. If the parents say that it's okay for the girl to be married, they can be. Even worse, once the child is married the spouse becomes the legal guardian, so they can't divorce them or any other guardian related item until 18, and by then it could be too late.